So this is much later than when I usually do streams. Typically, it's during the morning, but I decided to wait off because I was trying to see if maybe this would attract some more characters, and you know, we'll see what happens. Uh, but the basic premise of this story is that we had this oil attack in Saudi Arabia, where they're claiming that this was the biggest jump in oil prices in almost 30 years. And the Saudi led coalition is blaming Iran, at least their weapons anyway, for the strike. And Trump stated that the U.S. was locked and loaded to hit back, even though the U.S. never was struck uh, by Iran. So I'm kind of confused as to what the why that source of terminology. You've got a Democratic Senator Coons, the one from I believe he's the junior senator from Delaware, who stated that we should look at striking them back as doing a little warmonger stuff and just the usual neoliberal patty cake. Uh, right here for this article by Reuters, they're saying the Iranian-aligned Houthi rebel group that controls Yemen's capital claim responsibility for Saudi's attack, which knocked out more than half of Saudi Arabia's oil production and damaged the world's biggest crude processing plant. Iran denied U.S. accusations it was to blame and said it was ready for full-fledged war. Ruben says that guy I showed you on Twitter is good with American foreign policy news. Yeah, Ruben, like I said, I don't use Twitter that much anymore after what they did. So I usually just thumb people's stuff up and get off of there. So I'll go and look at it after the stream is concluded, if that's all right. But let me just reemphasize what Iran said, because that quote actually is a pretty. And this is what I think is so crazy. You have these countries saying all kind of insane stuff to each other, and when they talk about rhetoric on TV, it's mostly just Trump tweets. It's never, oh, this place said they're going to strike over here if you mess with them again or if you rub them the wrong way. Like right here, it says Iran denied U.S. accusations it was to blame and said it was ready for full-fledged war. It's like, how is that not being covered? But hey, that's why people are as stupid as they are, because things that actually matter and that can have devastating consequences on thousands, if not millions, of lives get little to no coverage, while that which is not significant will get just reign supreme in terms of the news. Uh, so it's another one of those stories where something happens and they try to make it seem like it's a big thing. I think if I'm going over here to Tulsi, she said that being Saudi Arabia's, is not America first. This is at least second time she's tweeted that to Trump. Ruben says Kavanaugh round two. Yeah, I saw that. I all this stuff about, like, they actually brought up the fact that no one's impeached a Supreme Court justice in over 100 years. So I mean, at best, we're gonna get some stories in the news about how I can't believe he did this to this young lady, and then he'll go right back to being on the court, or he'll continue to stay on the court. I really don't get the why this story was even like, people are actually tweeting about this on Twitter. They're losing their minds. It's like, the guys on the court, get over it. Make sure the Republicans lose next time so they can't get any more of their friends on there. Well, before you do that, make sure you get pissed at the Democrats for letting the Senate Republicans pack the judicial court. I think they said over 100 new uh, courts across the U.S. have been filled with Trump judges. Houthis didn't do. Uh, well, I'm sympathetic to them just because they're not. They ousted Saudi Arabia's buddy government. So let's see. Ruben says Kavanaugh and Ford have CIA ties. That's news to me. You're showing us something brand new. I would have never guessed. This is all completely shocking. My hair is about to stand up from this amazing revelation. And I just, every time they do these stories, it's like, okay, you read the headline and you're supposed to just discuss it for 30 minutes. And then it's barely anything. Like, okay, this place was struck. Some people are saying some in some cases dumb stuff, in some cases smart stuff. That's about it. Yeah, I'm seeing more articles on the Kavanaugh thing. They are really bringing up this old story with him more than what has apparently led to the biggest oil price increases in almost 30 years. Like that's less significant than some Supreme Court justice getting accused of stuff we already saw him get accused of last year. So it's all dumb. Uh, I will also say that one of the reasons that I held off was because I was trying to. I mentioned before I usually have people around, and I don't like to stream when they're here because I can't play certain stuff at volumes that I like and speak at volumes I prefer. So it ends up being this whole little debauchery because like with some of them you never know when they're gonna leave, so you just have to like hope and pray that if whoever it is usually like they're not around as far as close enough to hear what you're saying. At least that's what I came across. But Fred does have some shady past. Kavanaugh, oh, Ford does have some shady past. Kavanaugh's obvious. My favorite thing with Kavanaugh ever is when he was talking about how during his confirmation hearings, how I'd worked so hard to get into Yale and blah 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 blah, and then you find out that he's a legacy student, so he got in there because his grandpa and dad, were from there before him. Man, work hard, my foot. That's usually how all these little wealthy groups go. It's the one person makes it, then the other ones just kind of ride their coattails forever. Let's see, hire Bolton and fire him again. That will help gas prices. It worked the first time. No, I'm betting that if anyone hires him again, it's going to be Fox News. Oh, you heard the report that they said that McMaster gets called by Trump, and Trump says he misses him, even though apparently they were on bad terms when he left. So there's like a thing where he'll get rid of someone, and then absence makes the heart grow fonder. That's some kind of like new thing he likes to do. Well, not new thing, but it's a thing that they've claimed goes on behind closed doors. Whether it's true or not, I really kind of am like whatever. Let's see here. And so all those things actually going on. Uh, Ruben says some more nonsense in this news is people being mad that Candace Owens involved, was invoted to that black people event yesterday. What? Okay. Oh, invited. Yeah, you guys confuse me with some of these words. Yellsville with a bunch of spooks. Well, like Casper. Uh, hey, the we actually had like a joke where basically, if you saw it, and there was a segment that was on Tucker Carlson where he was talking about all the different senators and members of the House who have children that go to school, that go to some Ivy League school. Oh, I know, Ruben. That's where, if I remember correctly, that's where they met. No, we could go through a whole list of all the different people. Like, forget the presidents. Go through all the different senators that have gone to these Ivy League schools or have some child enrolled there. It would really, because I guess what I always try to explain to people is there's a big problem when you have a couple of schools that have all these prominent alumni because it suggests to people that you have to go to this school to even have a snowball's chance in hell of being able to actually get somewhere in the political realm. I mean, it's not a coincidence that the last president that had a non Ivy League degree was literally what 30 years ago, and the last one who didn't have a degree was when did Truman leave office? 53. So let's see, that's 66 years ago. So when you have that kind of thing, it makes people not believe it's actually worth looking at, or it's worth checking into if you don't have the pedigree. Oh, Mnuchin, you mean Kamala's BFF? She was the only Democrat he gave money to during the what was the 2016 elections. I think ever actually, but I'm not going to go that far and claim that that's a thing I know for sure. We're not even going to bother. We're going to just leave that one up for public speculation. Yeah, Trump's supposed to have some rally tonight in New Mexico. I'm not gonna. I think I mentioned before. I don't even watching his rallies anymore. I just go read a news article, and then usually if there's some moment that enough people deem funny, it finds its way on Twitter, where somebody cuts it out and then sticks it on there to be used forever. Let's see. I was born. Oh, I had no idea, Ruben. You should have mentioned that before. Or you should have kept that secret for your autobiography so we could all be astonished. I don't even know what state you're in, so it's. I just speculate. Also, the reason I didn't do a stream yesterday was because I had this thing I had to go to. I thought about putting up some whatever upload about a news story, but I just ducked out of it. I know Ruben was very upset because he expects his daily upload, and he also anticipates some comedy and some quality. And when that's not delivered, he gets very angry. God, I still all these man more of these presidential candidates will drop out. They had a story about five of them won't go to having committed to the climate town hall they're going to have this week. I live in the state where attended university in. Uh, let's look it up, shall we? Man, I remember when I was first getting into the political stuff, I used to look up all the schools that all these different presidential and vice presidential candidates went to. Oh, that was a trick question. We got University of Iowa, of Idaho, and University of Hawaii. So you're over there trolling. It's like I go to one of those schools, but you never guess which one. That's your strategy of making your location completely a mystery forever. We're on to you. God, I just people never just want to put direct stuff anymore. Like people ask me what state you from. I say California. I don't try to go like I'm from that state that Reagan was governor from. Like no, just say only rich people live in Hawaii, so that one is out. I didn't know Tulsi was rich. Oh, all right. Only rich people live in Hawaii. I've seen some who actually say only rich people live over here, and I said to myself, go to any of the tent cities. I wouldn't be surprised if a solid 10% of all the people who live out here are homeless. I mean, like you literally can't walk down maybe 3 or 4 blocks without seeing somebody laying in a corner next to a store. So it's just funny when people that don't live somewhere say that it's expensive to be there, and then people who are from there is just kind of you know against it, or they rebuff it. They're like, no, that's not the case. That's not true. That's fake news. Somebody in the media told you that was what happens over here, but it's not what actually goes on. Oh yeah, I think Palin's actually getting a divorce. Let me see. Oh yep. This was at the end of last month. So what a coincidence. Connecticut, where Yale is another rich people state. Oh God, man! Don't, if you remember the lady lacking logic, I didn't get to mention, but the state that she traveled to was Connecticut, and over there she kept claiming that the reason she couldn't call me for like almost an entire month was because there were people in her house. So again, this is almost a 30-year-old person, and supposedly it was so loud or whatever. I was like, man, you've made enough excuses for 1 year. You can take that back to the circus if you like whatever fool you think would believe that. Trust me, you're not talking to him. Yeah, like almost 30, talking about I'm so scared of the noises that were being made, and I prefer for my calls to not be interested. Like, dude, then you could have sent me an email, and no one would have read it unless people are like that house has so many people in it where they're on your shoulder. That's what I was saying. A lot of the stuff that, like, not even just the online stuff, people in real life, they treat you in the metaphorical sense as if you're dumb. Like they say things that you can just hear a little bit of it and completely dismantle it. And it doesn't take a smart person. I've maintained for as long as I can remember that I am not a sophisticated individual. I'm just a person who has access to the internet where one can learn about stuff that they otherwise wouldn't have if they didn't have access to it. And I use it. So, it's just that's what's so creepy about um I guess perception versus reality, where, the reality to me is that I don't consider myself to be smart. The perception is I am because I'm surrounded by all these buffoons. Well, I couldn't talk to you because I was in my house. Like if you could have, if you have my email, you have my social media contact, give them some. Oh, the yeah, Ruben, I didn't mean to get off topic. I was just that when you said Connecticut, that's the first thing because I don't have any ties to Connecticut other than that little encounter or experience. So that's the reason I said that. Well, there was some singer that died, and I was gonna do a video on it, and it would go back to my. If you look it up, I have a little series called "A Death in the Limelight," where all these people that are supposed to be so important, you never hear the media talk about them at all year after year. But then when they die, oh, we have to give them a 10 or 20-minute tribute and play clips of them from whatever they were in. Have some, I don't know, music historian or whatever come on here and tell us how important they were. Yeah, but if they were so important, why did it take them dying for you to acknowledge it? I think that's a fair question. But yeah, it was really nice to watch a lot of these politicians sit here and like react to the Saudi thing because what they're trying to do is make it seem like, oh yeah, Saudi Arabia was just minding its own business, and all of a sudden it just gets bombed and it's precious oil was killed right in front of it. It's like, yeah, but look at what it does overseas. Look at all the places it bombs for no reason. Like if they were such a pacifist, peaceful place, after their government was ousted, their friendly. I really do need to remember the name of the government. Their friendly government in Yemen was ousted by the Houthi rebels 4 years ago. They would have said, "All right, we're going to leave this region alone because the people over there have decided to get rid of our good buddy, our butt buddy," and instead they decided to go over there and screw with them for now. What's going on half a decade with all kind of different, bombings and starvations. Namaraj says Saudi Arabia are wannabe maniacs, the exporter of terror. I mean, I would say the same thing about the U.S. and Israel governments, but then people get pissed off and start talking about you side with terrorists and all this trash. I mean, you saw what Cheney did, not the vice president, the congresswoman. You saw what she did to Rand, where she was saying he puts America's enemies first because he doesn't want to bomb random countries. Man, it's always a false choice with these neocons. Man, they really will make you seem like you're the worst person in the world if you don't want to go into some conflict with some region that hasn't done anything to you or to your respective country. Again, we're doing so much stuff overseas to all kind of different places. Like go beyond the 7 countries we're bombing, right? We've got a shadow war in Nicaragua. We've got sanctions on Venezuela, which I heard somewhere has I think starved 40,000 people. I have to go look for the reference. So don't quote me on that, but it's been shown that these have had a devastating effect on the people over there. Uh, Sanctions on Iran. I mean, like all these different places we're just screwing with for no reason. What if Cotton and Graham said, I think Rubio's already had said something stupid? Well, Ruben, let's go on good old, wonderful, excellent, informative Twitter, the place where all the politicians run their mouths now. Who we look up first, Cotton or Graham? Which warmonger will we have to convene this stupidity fest? Let's go for Cotton. Oh, he wrote this 5 minutes ago. Despite the attackers' use of advanced Iranian weaponry, the Obama echo chamber is quick to cover for Iran by naively distinguishing between the IRGC and their proxies. Would they do the same Russian shutdown on MH17 in Ukraine? I think not. Uh, One of the things, by the way, these senators like to do to sound smart is they bring up a lot of historical events to try and get you to like basically to deflect from the point. See, I know what he's talking about. The U.S. Like reacting to the annexation of Ukraine. That was something we had no business getting involved with still. But he's trying to deflect and also trick you because he knows a lot of Americans don't pay attention to national issues. So we're just going to sit here and go, oh, Ukraine, huh? What? No, it doesn't work because we know what it is. Let's see. I cannot stand Graham. Okay, well, I don't know about the Namaraj, as a person who's had difficulty getting a relationship and been accused of being homosexual more times than I can count, just by virtue of that, I'm kind of not a fan of the like whatever he is. I don't want to speculate. I have no reason to believe he is though. I'm just whatever. I do agree with the Warhawk neocon part. Let's see. Okay, Cotton tweeted this on the 9th. Years after the Iran deal, the Ayatollahs are still concealing the extent of their nuclear program for international inspectors. These findings are clear violations of the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Whose surprise? Yeah, but it's like your response is going to be to just go and screw with them. So, I mean, I don't dispute that that has happened. I'm just saying that there's really he's not offering a solution that's really decent. I have to leave for class in like 5 minutes. Well, Sky, you can always watch it after. I mean, that's a solution that's possible. I like that you got rid of your new moniker. That was a short-lived pseudonym. I even forgot what it was called, but it was some different name you were using. Crenshaw is another rising neocon. Yeah, it's him and Cheney that are going to be like the new House Republicans that are beating the war drum for no reason. And see, Crenshaw is more dangerous because he's like a dark, evil male version of Tulsi. Where if you watch any of Jimmy's shows, he'll talk about how she's respected or people give her more credit for having her anti-war stance because she served and saw the ramifications of war firsthand. With him, he's someone who served, and just like McCain comes back and goes, let's go to war with here, let's go to war with here, let's go to war with here. Let's see. Namaraj says, just be late to class. I'll be more informative, I'm sure. Man, there's a lot of, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but there's so much stuff that I know historically that like none of these classes I went to ever mentioned to me at all. It's just that's why I said that a lot of times it feels like school is just this basic, really, really skimmed summary that doesn't really go into the specifics of things. Like there are so many different presidents that were never mentioned, or so many different laws and all kind of stuff, man. It's really disturbing. Thank you, Duel. I appreciate it. I'm gonna do a tap dance after a while. All right, let's go to Graham. See what he has crocking up. Everybody's favorite neocon Warhawk. Straight up monster, man. Uh, let's see here. Very pleased to hear that President Trump will be discussing with Israeli. Oh, is his other favorite country besides the U.S. Israel? 'Cause we know that's his lovely favorite place to talk about. Okay, very pleased to hear that President Trump will be discussing with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu the possibility of a mutual defense agreement protecting Israel against existential threats. So basically, he's glad that Trump is going to go to a meeting with the guy we're already giving billions of dollars to an aid for his country, and talk about doing more stuff for them than we already are. Let's see. Sky says, "Did you hear about another Kavanaugh accuser? Got to go. Talk to you guys later." Yeah, I don't dispute it. I just don't think it matters because he's already on the court. So it's going to be more people virtue signaling. I knew he was a nasty guy. So, yeah, but he's a nasty guy because he's sides with corporations 87% of the time, not because of some accusation that may or may not be true from 30 years ago. That even if it was true, isn't the worst thing you could ever do. I mean, like she even admitted that he didn't actually. Well, whatever. I'm not going to get into all of that. It's just, the biggest issue with him should have been from the policy standpoint. So that's that. All right. Here it is. Here's his Iran quote. His standard Iran quote. Okay. Graham says, "Wonderful senator from South Carolina. Iran will not stop their misbehavior until the consequences become more real, like attacking their refineries, which will break the regime's back." See, when they say stuff like that, they want you to think that if we strike Iran, all the people over there are going to be like, "We need to get rid of Hassan Rouhani because, you know, the U.S. is attacking us because of his leadership." It's like, okay, you get rid of him, and then the power vacuum, and then either the U.S. tries to stick their own person over there, or Iran gets somebody else who likely will do the exact same stuff, except maybe be a little bit less likely to screw with the US. Or the people get pissed off and hate the US even more. So they're not, they're not too bright. Let's see here. I'm thinking I missed something. Oh, I'm only going because no one will hire me without a stupid degree. Yeah, man, those pieces of paper, I agree that I mean, I think they're useless, but I still think that if you can afford to get one, then get one. Uh, let's see. I cannot stand. I'm trying. Did I miss anything? Okay, so I think I addressed Ruben's his comment because he asked to hear what the two of them had said about the conflict. Let's see. Who else is dumb that we can think of? Oh, let's go to Rubio. Because Ruben said he said something stupid. I don't know what it was. I would just have to take his word. Biden said Trump administration has abandoned our leadership in the hemisphere is laughable. Over 50 nations followed U.S. lead on recognizing Juan Guaido, and just last week, U.S. leadership helped to get 12 nations to invoke Rio. Whatever, man. That's him trying to. That's him doing the for Venezuela regime change. I'll get to Crenshaw in a moment. Let me just see if Rubio said anything. Oh, wow, he wrote a whole essay. Let's read it. First, the upcoming UN General Assembly will serve as the perfect forum to lay out the evidence of Iran's role in the attack. So he's saying these people are going to fly to New York and they're going to be like, Iran did it. What's the proof? Well, this paper over here. Second, it will require skillful diplomacy to make the case that any future Iran deal must address its rockets and its sponsorship of terror. I mean, the U.S. is the last place to talk about rockets and sponsoring terror or whatever. Third, we must make clear that while diplomacy and sanctions are cornerstone of our Iran policy, we have a right obligation to bullet point, punish units responsible for these attacks, destroy capacity to conduct such attacks in future. and keep our defense assurances to our allies in region, whatever that means. Do defense assurances just mean to like give them more money for no reason? It's like if we just give them another 100 billion, we'll win this war in 10 years. Let's see. Notion that Iran regime was peaceful and cooperative until Trump ended Iran deal is ridiculous. They use windfall from deal to finance rockets, drones, cyber, and proxies. If this isn't dealt with now, in a few years, they will attain irreversible leverage over the entire region. Well, hell, that's what the U.S. wants to do. I love how, man, like the Iran deal was useless, even though it wasn't. And this meet like, why don't they have? If all this evidence exists, why doesn't he show it? And that's my point. It's everybody's just flapping their gums. Like right now, if someone said, "Prove to me that these senators wrote these tweets," I could link it in the chat. Like I could actually show you what I'm talking about. I'm not making this up. With them, they're just saying stuff and claiming that this somehow is self-proving or whatever. It's like, oh, Iran was dangerous even while we were in the deal. How? Oh, they did something that I have no source for. Let's see. Namarad says, I think Iran should sell more UAVs to Yemen. They obviously can find good use for them. Any blow to Saudi, any blow to Saudi Arabia is okay with me. They owe us a pound of flesh after 9/11. To hell with Saudi Arabia. Ah. Yeah, them in Israel, I really couldn't care less about. I don't know why people try to make them seem like they're so important. Like they gross me out. Uh, okay, let me go to Crenshaw because Ruben is probably steaming hot over there. Let's see. Okay, he's got a pinned tweet. Oh, wow! I think he might not have actually said anything because the tweets from April, and then the last one he retweeted was 20 hours ago. Uh, one from the 14th, one from the 13th. Oh, ooh. Oh, he was talking trash about Yang on the 13th. I'm gonna save that for another video. we, we've got our reference point. Um, let's see. He might not have actually said anything. This is crazy. Let me go over to his congressional page. Yeah, nothing. I don't see one word from him about. Wow, that boy kept his mouth shut. That old eye patch wearing, bomb everywhere clown decided to completely remain restrained in his verbal tics. I read from some random person that Netanyahu is benefiting from the alleged Iranian attack on Saudi Arabia. Oh yeah, because tomorrow is the second election. So for the year. So he's gonna try and use this to be like, see, if I remain in power, I can save you from the bad Iranian attacks that they are trying to use to destroy us. Even though if they wanted to do that, they would have done it already. Or if they wanted to attack it, they would have done it already. They wouldn't attack some random other place. Oh man, I just find it crazy that he's been able to sit in office for this long. Like he is the person I think of when I think of Israel, other than Rabin. But it's him because of how much longer he's been in office, which is disturbing. Let's see. Namarad says my wife and I celebrated the Bolton firing with a giant blunt. With a great good times. Yeah, it was a dude. If you saw the news and the like MSNBC and Fox and all these other places, they were really trying to trick you into thinking that that was a bad thing. It was like President Trump has fired his third national security advisor. What does this say about U.S. foreign relations? That we're going to be less likely to bomb other places. Man, they must really think I'm dumb. Like for that, I see for years Walton go around advocating for every single war other than Vietnam, and I'm gonna like not celebrate when they get rid of him. Like as he's opposing a peace deal with the Taliban or a peace meeting rather. Falling on deaf ears, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, remember the anti-Trump people are literally Like they'll just point to any. I went on Trump's Twitter after doing the stream, and the first comment I saw was someone saying Bolton said he offered to resign first. Liars. Like, who cares? I know I don't. I saw TYT doing the same thing where they were talking about that as well. It's like that doesn't matter. It shouldn't. The point is he's gone. Now is the time to reflect on his crappy record and hope that whoever gets picked, this week, won't be as bad. David Frum wrote an article for the Atlantic saying that getting rid of Bolton was a bad thing. Hashtag the assistants. Um, Ruben, do you remember that during that stream, I mentioned that there was an article that when I looked, because that stream occurred minutes after the tweet was put out, and I saw the little thing flash on TV. Um, the first article that came up was something about why America needs Bolton, and I was just like, what fantasy land are you living in where you even think that's something that makes any type of sense? I mean, like it was the complete alternate reality that I was seeing there. Like you have to be out of your damn mind. There's no other way to put it. So I think we've I don't know, let me ask Ruben, would you prefer if because with Saturday and Sunday, the reason I do them in the morning is because when it gets to like 10, 11, that's when you can hear people moving around and there's all kind of like stuff that, is out of my control. So would you prefer it at this time or would you prefer it in the morning? Which I guess this still technically is, but like 5, 6, like in that time span. Because I don't want to do this and have Nama Raj not show up because how would I ever how would I ever go on without him? And it'll be funny if Ruben doesn't show up for like 3 straight streams, I start wearing one of those like big coats and have like visibly graying hair right. Just like I remember the good old days when Ruben would show up for the streams, but it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. We're gonna do like a parody version of the Last Airbender opening, where it's like everything changed when Ruben stopped showing up. Let me see. Oh, let's now that we've heard from the idiots, let's hear from the heroes. Let's go over and see what Rose said about this. Presumably, he said something about this 2 hours ago. What the hell? Okay, his page is flooded with a bunch of briefcase images. I don't know what this is. Oh, the deadline in the middle class can be seen the CEO to work. Okay. Oh, I know what he's doing. Never mind. That's actually a good point. I was looking at that just so confused. 18 hours ago, some single payer stuff, Voting Rights Act. Congress never vote. Oh, here it is. Congress never voted for us to support Saudi Arabia on bombing and starving civilians in Yemen. We must end our involvement in the world's worst humanitarian crisis. That was yesterday. So it looks like there's nothing on his Twitter. Well, he has 2 accounts. Let me go over to the other one. God, all these people have 2 accounts for some reason. Let's see. Oh, here it is. This is great. This is sexy. Okay, so Coons, the senator I told you that is supposed to be a Democrat, but he's pro-war for some reason. I guess I shouldn't be surprised because that's how they roll. He says this may well be the thing that calls for military action against Iran, if that's what the intelligence supports. And then Rose says, respectfully, Senator Chris Coons, I disagree. The only body that can call for offensive military action against Iran is Congress. This is exactly why Congress must include my amendment with Representative Matt Gaetz in the final defense bill to ensure Congress decides if and when we go to war. So that was, and then he also responded to a tweet from Trump 20 hours ago where he said, Mr. President, have you signed my Yemen war powers resolution and ended the war in Yemen, dipping into our reserves wouldn't be needed? I'm going to thumbs that one up. See you later, Namaraj. Hopefully you make it for other streams at various points. Uh, so that week that was good. I'm glad he. I love it when anti-war Democrats or Democrats that side with my position go after other members of the party for beating the war drum or just having some position that I don't think the DNC should embrace. How is Joe Walsh's presidential campaign doing so far? I think Froome endorsed him. The only thing I remember is that I know for sure that that's a giggle out of me too. I know he went on Bill Maher, and Bill Maher said, "I don't even understand why the Republicans canceled the primary. If you guys are going to lose anyway," which was funny. And then also he was whining about like saying that this is not Russia, some kind of like grandstanding stuff. So it's pretty much falling and failing like anyone would expect it to. Really, the only one of those Republicans that's running that I actually find a little bit interesting is Sanford, because he's actually said his reason for running is because he thinks they should talk about like being financial and not raising the debt. And look, I already know that's his way of saying no single payer, no free school, blah 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 blah. But because he's a governor and we don't really know what his international views are, he might oppose these military conflicts. So he's worth seeing a couple of interviews from, in my opinion. But of course, the only time you'll hear anything about him is when they bring up him disappearing 10 years ago for a couple of days to be with his mistress. You get into one scandal and just completely consumes the entire rest of your life. Yeah, Ruben's over there cracking up. He said, "Oh, these Republicans really like the thing about Weld and Sanford. They don't strike me as people who actually think they have a chance." Walsh went on the Maher show, or Mayor, how you pronounce his name, and was like, "I have a shot." Like, no, you don't. They even had Delaney on there. Delaney knows he can't win. He just knows he has money, so he can stay in as long as he wants. They don't have a chance in hell, man. None whatsoever. And the only one of them who's too stupid to realize that is the one I've seen the most of, ironically. Like, I'll give Weld credit for a few things. I saw him at the he was the only one. Well, this is before the other two got in, but he addressed the Black Journalist Convention. Um, I think it was him, Sanders, Buddha Trash, and Booker that went up there, and then he's going to be part of the climate talk. So he's trying to like do things that are out of the typical Republican orthodoxy, but it makes sense because he's considered to be a liberal Republican, if that even exists anymore. It's sad that I think he's a really interesting candidate, and is going to come out of his running. Let's see, John Delusion is the second richest Democrat in the presidential primaries after Steyer. Yeah, and notice how both of them weren't in that last debate. Maybe the voters aren't too receptive to millionaires and billionaires trying to, tell them that they understand them. Maybe they've caught on to that scam already. Dude, every time Steyer's ad appears on TV, I just want to switch it off. I think I mentioned before that there was when impeachment stuff was happening. So when that started in like late 2017, one day I just sat back in my room for like a span of maybe 8-7 hours, and I watched his ad come on at least 5 times, like just over and over and over and over and over again. I was like, what is the point of that? If I saw it the first time, it didn't affect me. The second time didn't affect me. I'm not like the one thing I give myself credit for is I'm not that impressionable unless there's something that if I do it, I know I'm gonna get, I don't know, physically assaulted or the person's gonna like lose their mind forever. Usually, it doesn't affect me. It's so when I watch that ad over and over, I'm just sitting there thinking, "You're an idiot. You're 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 an idiot." Because that's what I see him as, just some clown that has money and is using it in a stupid way. And well, actually, we found out. Remember that he was funneling money from his impeachment efforts to raise for his presidential campaign. So he actually has technically been campaigning for president for like 3 years. and that's why he was able to meet those donor qualifications, not because people actually want to donate to a billionaire. I think that's really funny. Like, so many people got scammed by that impeachment thing. It's just like with that border wall GoFundMe. It's like, I get you like it, but you don't think there's something wrong with giving funds to a GoFundMe that's not started by anyone who's actually related to Trump in any official capacity. And you saw that what they did was they took the part where people signed off on and started some think tank with it. So, it ended up not doing much of anything to actually affect the issue. But yeah, I think I've said all I can say. Um, no, wait a second. Who is Zoe Dude? Who is that guy? Is that some new YouTube superstar coming up on the political scene? Is he now the top person that covers the Yang campaign? Um, I know you probably were missing because I remember I saw you in one of the previous streams. I know you probably missed a new Yang installment. I got some coming up in relation to his campaign. We now have a couple of Republicans that have tweeted negative stuff about him, so I'm going to put them all together and do like a little, I guess, not compilation, but it'll just be me saying, "Oh, this person, this person said that. Look at all these attacks." Oh, I appreciate it. I'm so flattered that I was worthy of being greeted. Ruben, you have anything left to say? Any final comments or statements or claims, positions or whatnot? The guy I showed you on Twitter is Robert Morris and has a YouTube channel. Yeah, I saw it. I'll go check it out after this. But any like related stuff, I'm okay for now. All right. Well, thanks to those who attended. I appreciate it. This was kind of impromptu, so I didn't want to have like a thing. I was a little worried, like, oh my god, nobody's gonna show up. I'm gonna be so lonely. But like, I'll do another stream on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of next week, and then I'll put stuff up between Tuesday and Friday. So, thank you, and have a good day.